Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. Josh, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I had a busy week at work, but I get to take Friday off, which means I'm playing some disc golf and watching some disc golf.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It is Thursday, April 28th, and we are right back at it on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. No rest for the weary. I hope you like disc golf, folks, because we've got back-to-back-to-back Elite Series events and majors. So we are going to get into DDO today. Of course, this is an important tournament this year, not just because it's one of the top stops on tour, but because this is going to preview the courses for the World Championships coming up in a couple of months. So extra eyes on this, but this is not the Utah Open. This is not a B tier. This is a DGPT Elite Series stop. So we will get into that in just a little bit. First, wanted to just follow up on a couple of topics from the Jonesboro Open this past weekend. One of the things, Josh, that we neglected to mention in our show on Tuesday, and shame on us, is that Simon Lizotte shot a 13 under in round number 2. And this was just like a vintage Simon Lizotte performance. And man, it just makes you think of what could be if we get Simon back in top form. He's got the tools. There's never been a question about that. And could we see him rediscover an elite form that lets him go out and compete for wins? We saw a glimpse with what was the highest rated round of 2022.
You're absolutely right, Charlie, that Simon does have every tool that he needs in order to compete competitively again. The injury is really the reason that, he fell off. And it's kind of interesting because it happened right before the pandemic, and then disc golf, takes off. And so it feels like Simon almost got left behind a little bit in the competitive world because he didn't benefit from that huge boom of disc golf viewership, publicity, media, all of those things that came with the increase of COVID disc golf. Simon obviously has his YouTube channel. He's a personality. He has an amazing character. And as an individual, is someone who's very captivating. And that's why he has such a large following. But I think what's really important about Simon is that, someone in our Discord mentioned, and we were talking about this, that disc golf is better when Simon Lizotte is playing it.
100%.
And there's just no truer statement, because even when Simon isn't winning tournaments, when he is on coverage, his style of game, the way he throws the disc, it's just something that they're so captivating about it that it really has the opportunity to draw in fans and, casual and professional alike, or more committed. And so, I don't see any reason why Simon couldn't come back and be a little bit more competitive. He's getting older. He does have that injury he's, has recovered from, it seems like. But I really hope that we could continue to see Simon compete at a high level. And, what's more Simon than to shoot the hot round and then still fall off and not really be in contention for the final round.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny hearing him talk about the round after he shot it. He basically said, I feel like I shot the same as I did in round 1, and yet my results were just way, way better. I don't feel like I threw it better. Now, I question his own view on the round. I mean, the guy barely missed a shot ever. I mean, he hit every single fairway. But you know what? There is something to that. Sometimes the difference between a great shot and going out of bounds is microscopic. You throw the same shot, the line looks right, and the wind picks up the wrong time and pushes you OB or not. And we're certainly going to get a lot of that this weekend in Emporia for DDO. But it's just Simon he's still we've seen these glimpses. I still remember watching him play with Paul on Paul's course in Virginia that he built in these woods. And it's just this insane course, incredibly hard, incredibly long through the woods. And Simon goes out there and just shreds it. And I almost feel like Macbeth can't believe what's happening as he gets beat on his own course by Simon. And it's yes, the guy doesn't need to throw 100% power in order to be a top tier professional disc golfer. And what I'm bummed out about is that I just don't know that we're ever going to see it. Like, it almost feels like a Tiger Woods situation.
Yeah.
Like, they're not the same player, obviously. Like, Tiger has had tremendously more success than Simon's ever had. But in a way, they're like the most gifted player ever to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And, Tiger kind of fell off, and then he comes back and he wins the Masters. And, like, maybe we'll get that from Simon one time. Maybe he'll come out and he'll win a major, whenever. Whether it's this year or in 5 years. Like, it's not some kind of crazy impossibility, but I just don't know that we're ever going to see again, like, normal Simon Lizotte showing up, finishing inside the top 5 and contending for wins on a regular basis. I mean, there's just no evidence of it. We haven't seen him win a tournament since 2018? I think when he won the Memorial.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think you're spot on, but tell me that Simon can't win the European Open.
That's what I'm telling you. I think he can.
You're right. Yeah.
I think he has all of the ability to go and win a big tournament.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen him play really well at the European Open. Maybe it's just the bias in my head because he is European, but I really feel like he could do very, very well at the European Open this year or even the future.
Could be fun to see. But man, Discmania, dude, like, they got to be sweating a little bit right now, right? I mean, like, it's tough times for their team, right? They have their 2 highest profile players are both hurt. Now, at least Simon's playing again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kyle Klein is in some kind of crazy funk. And Nicholas Antila hasn't really done anything. Like, it's kind of gruesome.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't gotten better. When we had UC on the show like a month and a half ago or something, we asked him about this. And he said, no, I'm not worried about it. Well, I mean, got to be a little worried about it now with the injuries.
The one thing I will say, I mean, you're right. They have cause to be concerned for this season, but it's not like it's a football or a baseball team that, like, the head coach is on the chopping block when they have a bad season, right? They still have the future of disc golf who's just doing, trying to recover his shoulder, and another mini future of disc golf in Kyle Klein.
And don't forget results. Ella Hansen.
Right. And that's just 3 on the MPO side. Exactly. And then you got Ella Hansen, who just took a top 3. You have Europeans who are playing in their first competitive tour in their lives. Like, I mean, I understand that this may not be a great season, but if UC's looking at the next 5 years, there's no reason for him to ever worry at all.
Sure. We got an email from Tina, and Tina had some thoughts on DDO. She said, I watched all 3 rounds. My major takeaway is that I cannot believe how the parity in the FPO has increased in 1 year. A year ago, Paige and Katrina were in the mix in almost every tournament. It always felt like a 2-horse race. Adding the Europeans has certainly helped. But this year, the top cards are much more available to many more competitors. The Jonesboro lead card in the final round had the expected Kristen Tatar, the not surprising Missy Gannon, and then the Rookie of the Year, Ella Hansen, and perhaps the 2022 Rookie of the Year in Kat Murch for 2 out of 3 rounds. I will say, I'm pretty sure Kat Murch is not eligible for Rookie of the Year, but definitely could be Breakout Player of the Year.
Or Breakout Player, yeah. Yes, agreed.
In addition, the coverage by the Disc Golf Pro Tour has greatly improved. No longer do we watch the full round of the MPO and then a truncated version of the FPO. Being able to watch the full rounds of FPO has been received well, as evidenced by the big viewership numbers, 37,000 on YouTube as of Wednesday following Jonesboro. That was on the live coverage. Finally, the increased visibility of more FPO competitors has untold benefits. It makes becoming a touring pro a real possibility. It will hopefully increase their prize money. It sets standards for how women should be treated in non-elite events. It feels like this season is a giant step forward for the FPO division. Also, Kristen Tatar playing her best is way, 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 way better than Paige or Katrina or anyone else playing their best. Saved a hot take for last.
Right? She gives this email that I'm just like, 100%. This is so spot on. I love this. Whoa, hello there.
Yeah, I still contend that peak Paige is like an unbeatable player.
I don't know if we've seen peak Paige for a while.
We haven't seen her this season, right?
Yeah.
Even in her win at Texas State, I don't think we saw like the best of Paige Pierce.
I agree. And, you know, it's funny because the best of Paige Pierce is about a razor thin line away from being the most OB of anybody in the tournament, Paige Pierce.
Yep.
And so it's really, but I mean, if Paige stays clean while playing her best and throwing the way that she does, unbeatable. I agree with you there.
I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, you know, after commentating whatever the first Silver Series was that Belton? I think it was Belton.
That seems right.
And the coverage was combined that weekend. It was, you know, they were trying to keep the Silver Series simpler and just have a single broadcast with the MPO, FPO.
Sure.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I think it's easy to forget that it sucks. Like everyone is happier with split coverage, except maybe the camera operators and the like broadcast team, because it's more work. But sure. It is just so much better to be able to watch the full round. Because like some people only want to watch FPO, some people only want to watch MPO, so those people are happier. But like from the broadcasting side, it is night and day. Like when you are having to go back and forth between MPO and FPO shots, and like there's no time to talk about what's going on in the FPO storylines because you're focusing on the final 4 holes of the MPO tournament. It was brutal. And like I know that Mahmoud from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, like his number one off-season like priority list that he gave to Jeff Spring was we must split these broadcasts. And I think that it hasn't really been talked about enough about what a big deal that has been in terms of enjoying the coverage more, because it means that you can sit and just enjoy the actual storylines of each division in their full capacity. And so kudos to DGN and the Pro Tour for making those changes. And really kudos to the Pro Tour for continuing to focus on developing FPO in a sustainable way. Like a couple of years ago, I mean, it's still a little bit of a problem when we've talked about like the courses just like not being designed for FPO. But it was such an afterthought. And I think, you know, while MPO will always probably be more popular, FPO has had some really rich storylines this year. It's not, you know, we don't go out of our way to talk about it on the show. Like it is, in many cases, been the more interesting division at a lot of tournaments this season. And it's just, it's awesome to see the increased competitiveness. And so basically I'm just agreeing with what Tina said on most topics. So
you hit the nail on the head, Tina. Nice job.
All right, so let's get into this weekend's tournament. We have to turn the page from Jonesboro, and we now get ready for the Dynamic Discs Open. So here we go. So again, this is a preview of the World Championships. Looked it up. The schedule for Worlds is going to be 2 rounds on the new Jones Supreme. Okay, so Jones East, Jones West have been comboed into Jones Supreme, a brand new layout. And then they will play 3 rounds at the Emporia Country Club. This is for Worlds. Okay, this weekend, it's a 4-round tournament. Starts today. They're going to play 2 rounds at Jones Supreme. They're going to play 2 rounds at Emporia Country Club. So that is the basics for this weekend. There will be a cut at the cash line for the final day. So after 3 rounds, top 40% will advance to Sunday's play. Huge shout out for that. This must be the norm at all 4-round tournaments. And we haven't had it at every 4-round tournament so far this year. So I really hope that we get it. Champions Cup, right? They didn't make a cut.
No, I don't think they did. No. Yeah.
So I hope
the Champions Cup was a invite a little bit more selective, smaller field to begin with.
I don't care. Am I supposed to care? You played bad. Sorry, you don't get to play the final rounds.
but you know, I wonder. I'd have to go back and look. I wonder if Paul misses cut and doesn't shoot his 16 under. If
he must have been still in the top 40%, right?
I bet he was close. He was ways down. I'm sure he was.
He
though.
was
You
down
gotta be
there a
right.
bit.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, let's hear from Eric McCabe, course designer for Jones Supreme. This is him in the press conference in yesterday at the DDO. Let's hear from Eric.
For you now designing for the game's best year after year, what is hard? What is a hard, challenging disc golf hole for you now?
For me personally, or to design for
as
the
a course
player?
designer for the
Yeah.
best players?
So that's a great question. I think a lot of it is making sure a hole is difficult but also fair. You know, you can always tighten up OBs and make it really unfair to where it's just suddenly fair for the big arms. But pinching corners with OBs, I mean, that's great and all, but you want to make sure the course is fair, especially out here when I'm designing for a course for a tournament in Kansas where the wind has got potential to be up to 20, 30 mile an hour. You know, you don't want to, you got to bring that factor into play as well, but you also need to have an idea of if it's not windy, you don't want them to just come out and just absolutely shred, which is kind of what we saw on Jones Gold last year.
So then my other question for you, for anyone who's watching this press conference who's interested in designing a course in an area that they're trying to grow disc golf in, what does it mean to design a course for new players that's not necessarily just boring?
Man, that's like, honestly, new courses with a little more shorter holes, kind of like we have a course right across the street called Hammond Park, the most popular course in town. Those type of courses are the courses that we need more of. These championship level courses, I get emails all the time about somebody wanting a championship level course and they have 19 acres to work with, you know, and you got to kind of change their gears a little bit. But, you know, an average of 280 to 300 foot holes is probably what you're looking for more in a beginner style layout, and making sure it's fair. Tight fairways are great, but you just got to make sure to have lanes.
Awesome. Well, the week is here for you. You've been preparing for it all year, so enjoy
Thank
this
you.
week.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Eric, Hayden with the PDGA. So tell us a little bit about this course design at it's the Supreme 18 at Jones Park.
Yeah, Supreme 18. I think Doug and I actually started talking about this at the end, maybe even Sunday night of the Dynamic Discs Open last year, and how Jones Gold was more of a safari layout instead of me going out there as a blank slate, a blank canvas, and going and being able to do whatever I wanted to do out there and make a true championship level course, as opposed to playing skip a holes or anything along those lines. But I'm super excited to watch these players come out and just battle this course, especially in the elements. Obviously, that brings a whole nother factor in. But it's a big course, but I honestly believe it's fair.
So there is Eric McCabe talking about this new Jones Supreme course. Obviously, we all know Country Club, right? Country Club, for me, it's fine course. It has a lot of challenge, a lot of wind. I mean, we're hearing a similar story about Jones Supreme. It's probably going to be windy. It's flat. It's plains. We're in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, and there's a lot of OB. But what I will say about Emporia, the Country Club course has the number one water hole in disc golf. Number one. Hole 16, you have the water carry to the island green, a true island, like an actual plot of land in the water. And boy, do we need more of this. I love it. I think it's that, you know, the drama we've seen at past Worlds on this hole has been incredible. I bring it up every time we talk about this tournament, but I will never forget watching Valerie Jenkins park this hole when she had a lead and could have laid up going into, was that the final 9 at that point? Now I can't remember exactly, but back in the final 9 days, she parks it and, you know, basically seals the win as other people go OB. And just a special hole on an otherwise not necessarily special course.
Yeah, it's so tough because it's one of those courses. So this is something I've thought a lot about. When you think of the tour, you have several stops that kind of, I guess you could say, tent post a traditional tour, not including majors, of course. And they're defined by the largest manufacturer-sponsored tournaments that really kind of belong to those manufacturers. You have Dynamic Discs Open, previously Glassblown Open, but it's always been Dynamic Discs. This is where they're at. This is, very much, always been Dynamic Disc country. You have Ledgestone that belongs to Discraft. Maple Hill is now MVP, but has always obviously been a staple. MVP now kind of making their claim to a tent post tournament.
10 years, 2 million.
10 years, 2 million. And then your final one is USDGC, which is obviously an Innova tournament. So you have these tournaments that I would argue are really pillars around or, to the tour and have always had the largest payouts, the largest number of competitors. Ledgestone and DDO feature incredibly large AM fields. Lots to that, right? And so what's really interesting then about this tournament is that I can go to Emporia and I could tell you holes 1 through 18 and do pretty well relative to a lot of courses. Especially courses of this nature, right? If you ask me, could you remember the holes or describe OTB or Portland Open for me? No, absolutely not. I remember Kevin Jones blow up hole 18 at Portland Open. There you go, right? That's because even if I watch all 3 rounds, it just doesn't have that same captivation. This tournament, because of the fanfare, because of the excitement that always comes around this tournament, the longevity as well. It's really easy to remember the country club, and I can think of and don't forget, you have Disc Golf Valley that has the Emporia Country Club on it, right? There's a video game for this course. You can go play it on your phone. So it's really easy to remember and draw from this course and know the signature holes, know the way that the round can play out and where opportunities to make up strokes are going to be. And I think that's something that really adds to a tournament. That being said, I think the era of endemic sponsors being our primary sponsors of major tournaments is, we're not at the end of it yet, but you can see the end of the road. And that comes from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, in my opinion, the championships, where their title sponsor was not an endemic sponsor and their largest sponsors were not endemic sponsors. I think as money continues to go up, endemic sponsors will still be a big part, but you're going, right? If Honda comes to you and says, we want to rebrand the Dynamic Discs Open as the Honda Classic, are you going to say no when they offer you 7 figures? Probably not, right? When the Disc Golf Pro Tour point series is now the UPS Cup, like
UPS Cup, that would be the most imagine how crushed UPS would get for doing that. FedEx Cup sponsors the PGA Tour. UPS sponsors the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Maybe it's like Spirit Airlines then.
Oh no, that's too savage.
Anyway, in that world, longevity is going to be important, but when you have that kind of money available and disposable, it's going to be all about the media. It's going to be all about the entertainment value. It's going to be all about the broadcast. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that the Dynamic Discs Open offers courses that can compete with some of the best courses in terms of just pure watching, right? Just coverage. Those courses just don't compete with what I think are other courses on tour that are just fantastic, both in aesthetic as well as competition. And I think we're going to continue to gravitate towards those tournaments when endemic sponsorships are no longer the defining point of where a tournament is held.
Let's take a look at the course map for Jones Supreme. If you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look. A little bit of OB out there, it looks like, Josh.
Just a little.
Just a little OB. Look, the only reason we're playing disc golf tournaments in Emporia, Kansas, the only reason is that Dynamic Discs is headquartered in Emporia, Kansas. That is it. Okay. Now, this is now, I mean, Dynamic Disc is like a major employer in Emporia. They are a big company. They get written about in the newspaper. It's a big deal when this tournament comes to town. You have players in the press I mean, Valerie Mondahano is talking about getting recognized in the grocery store and people being like, hey, you signed with Dynamic this year. That's got to be a crazy experience for the pros. I mean, I know some pros even find it like a little too much. Like people are like stalking out their RV and stuff. So, you know, I get that, right? This is like this big important event, and DD runs a great show. I mean, GBO had an incredible reputation. I still hate the name change. I'll always hate the name change. You know, I don't think it was worth it, to be honest. It could have been Glass One Open presented by Dynamic Discs forever, and it's not like people are going to be confused about who runs this tournament because the only thing in Emporia is Dynamic Discs. But, you know, Doug Bierkus and the team there, they run a tight ship. I mean, this has been like one of the gold standards for quality tournament organizing for a long time. And Eric McCabe is a great course designer, but here is the thing. Okay. Eric McCabe went out to Jones, because last year, Jones, I guess it was East. Whatever Jones layout Gold, they played last year. Jones Gold, sorry.
Jones,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, Jones Gold was kind of the hybrid of West and East, and this year they kind of completely redid
Ultra hybridized. Yes, Jones Gold. I mean, guys were shooting 15 under, 14 under, 13 under, like just destroying the course. So they're like, okay, well, you know, we got Worlds coming next year. We got to make a new layout. And you know what? I trust that it's going to be hard. I trust that it's going to be challenging. There's a lot of tight OB. There's some really tricky par threes. You start the tournament with an island hole. Okay, so like you can lay up short, but you know it's like a little postage stamp type green through a gap of a couple trees down all the way by the river out of bounds. So like some really cool holes. But the problem is Eric McCabe is trying to create a 4-course steak dinner, and he has a pound of hamburger meat to do it, because we're talking about landscape that is simply not disc golf friendly. The only way to make this interesting is to add OB. That's it. There just isn't enough out there. Now, they've done a good job from, you know, watching the drone previews and stuff of finding ways to integrate water. There's a couple water carry holes. There's certainly going to be plenty of challenge if you add in the wind, and there's potentially some rain in the forecast these first couple days. I expect it to shoot lower scores. I expect it to be challenging for the players. But is this where we want to play our biggest disc golf tournaments? Is this where we want to have the World Championships? We gotta watch this twice? Twice? Like, it's no disrespect to Emporia or to DD, but like this is terrain is simply not a good place for disc golf. Like I think if Dynamic Discs wants to have this tournament host future world championships, I think that they basically have to like buy some land and like straight up ground up build it, landscape it, bring in dirt and make hills, put down grass seed, take like 5 years to build. You know, it doesn't even need to be necessarily a wooded course, but like create the course that you want. And that's hard because you're in the middle of Kansas. I don't even know if it's possible. But the fact is, it's just not the right terrain for a world championship. Like, DDO is one thing, but it's kind of disappointing that we're going to have to watch these courses again, which, by the way, in the future, we're not going to see these doubled up, you know, course twice. If a course is hosting a major, we're not going to see it on tour,
right?
Which that's a big step forward. I mean, obviously, I'm going to wait and see. You know, I expect it to be challenging, and it could well be very interesting. There could be some really good holes, and we'll see. But it's hard when there's just concrete and pavement, and you know, It just sort of feels like a safari course. And that's what can you do? Like you have this is the property that you have. You have to make it the most of what it can be. It's not going to be very pretty. It's going to be pretty flat. There's not going to be that many trees involved. And that's what you have to work with in Emporia.
I think you hit it all spot on, Charlie. I mean, I looked at Jones and I watched the preview and I've seen a little bit of practice and Instagram videos. Jones looks like park courses that I play.
Yeah.
It does.
It's just a really hard version of that.
Right. And then they just put OB everywhere to make it competitive. Right. And I don't know. It does not feel like Jones is befitting of a disc golf pro tour.
But the fact is right now, money talks. And
it's true.
Sponsors want to do the thing that they do. Dynamic Disc wants to bring everybody to their town. It's a massive economic event for this for the city of Emporia, and I understand all that. But this is not the long-term future for highly competitive disc golf courses. And it's not even that they're not competitive. That's just not what we want to see long-term, I think.
Well, the one thing you've got to say, though, because it is a 4-round tournament, the cream always rises to the top, and we have a long history of the best showing up and performing well here. In fact, since 2015, this tournament has been a national tour or a disc golf pro tour event, and in all except 3 years, 3 total winners, it was either Paul, Paige, or Katrina in MPO and FPO. There are 3 winners. Hannah Leatherman, I will say, caveat, in 2017, Paige and Hannah Leatherman shared the title due to cancellation of final round due to storms. So Hannah Leatherman also has the win, but didn't take Paige down per se and stop her from winning. So MPO, FPO, 3 winners outside of those 3.
And who were
that?
They?
Is 2016, Cam Todd.
Shout out. That was crazy. I remember when that happened.
2018, Eagle McMahon. And that's it for MPO. Paul Macbeth has won since 2015 every other Dynamic Discs / Glassbone Open. Over on the FPO side, it has gone Paige 2015, Katrina 2016, Paige and Hannah 2017, Paige 2018, Katrina 2019, Paige 2020, and Haley King 2021.
Haley King got it last year. She played awesome. I was tempted to pick her, but she's not playing very well right now.
Yeah.
Back-to-back. I think she was 10th and 11th at her last 2 events and just hasn't really been on tour that much yet. I mean, that could be a get-right tournament for her, but I don't know if she's totally in form right now. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. And like, if you look at the results from last year's MPO, the top 5 players were Macbeth, 6 shots clear of Wysocki and Eagle. Then Chris Dickerson and Calvin Heimberg tied 1 shot back of those 2 guys. And then you got to go 5 strokes down to find the next finisher, Ben Calloway. So the top 5 were the undisputed top 5 players in the world right now. Macbeth, Wysocki, McMahon, Dickerson, Heimberg. And I expect similar this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it's because it's 4 rounds.
Right.
Part of it because they're hard courses and,
with distance. And
maybe we see a small surprise up in the top 5, but I expect to see the big names really stepping up and dominating again.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you want to get to our picks? I mean, we're talking about it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Charlie, who do you have over in FPO?
In FPO, I am going with, in 3rd place, Paige Pierce. Any of the players on my podium this week will not surprise me if they win. I toyed with the idea of having Paige as my winner, but I just feel like there's too much OB, and I just think that we've seen other players controlling discs a little better lately. So I have Paige in 3rd. Kristen Tatar for me in 2nd place, and I have Katrina Allen getting the win. She obviously won here before. I think fairway control is going to be extremely important, and I like her chances out at Country Club, and who knows how everyone's going to play at Jones. But like, What's the odds on those players being the top 3 at the end of this weekend? 40%, 50%. I mean,
probably.
It's like pretty outside. I'm not really stepping out on a limb here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Cat getting the dub back in the winner's spot.
You know, would it shock you if I told you my podium's the same? I also have Paige in third, exact same reasons. I worry about that OB this weekend. And that's something that I think could really punish Paige. Paige has a tendency to go OB more than other players, and Jones Supreme, has OB all over the place. It's
well, and obviously she's played extremely well here in the past.
Sure.
Despite the OB. So it's not like she's not capable of going out there and dominating. But if she's a little off, it can get bad fast.
Right. I have Katrina Allen in second. But I do have Kristen Tatar in first. And the big reason, I mean, at Jonesboro, Kristen Tatar didn't miss Circle 2 all but twice, right? So
Yep.
she hit Circle 2 in regulation every shot except twice, I think is what it was.
Yep.
Just unbelievably dialed in. And that, I would say that I know that Jonesboro is not as difficult in terms of the OB and the control that you need, but if you're not missing the green, then you're going to be fine out here too. And so it's clear that Kristen's got her shot dialed and is going to be able to keep it in between the lines. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing this weekend. So
this is Kristen's last tournament before she heads back to Europe for a spell through European Open. So that'll be fun. If she wins, then we're going to start to have a little trend where she wins everything right at the end of her trips. She's going to have to make more trips and go back more. Every tournament she has to fly in and then play it and then fly out.
That makes sense though. Take a little time to kind of acclimate and then win everything.
Sure. That would be a real nice victory for her to go back to back. Should be fun to watch. In MPO, I've got Calvin Heimberg in third place, and I have Ricky Wysocki in second place. I've got Macbeth winning this tournament. He's just absolutely dominated here in the past. I think he's going to be, have that extra chip on the shoulder following last weekend, losing in the playoff. But it's a similar story for me here where I can really see any of those guys and Chris Dickerson, who I had to leave off my podium, winning the tournament. It is, there's just enough uncertainty with the new course. But I think Macbeth will add to his impressive list of wins in Emporia.
Horses for courses. That's no knocking that pick. I also have Calvin in third. I think he's going to play well here. I think he's going to continue the hot roll from Jonesboro, but I don't know. Just doesn't feel like his weekend to me. I have Paul Macbeth in second, but I have Chris Dickerson taking the win here. Chris Dickerson looked so dialed at Champions Cup. And I know that this is completely different style of golf, but when you look at, the list of our top 5 players in the world over an MPO, I think you can just say Chris Dickerson has probably the most control over his discs. It feels like Chris can make his discs do whatever he wants. It was a question at the beginning of the year with his new bag, but to watch some of the shots that he was able to pull off at Champions Cup makes me feel just a ton of confidence in his game right now. And that kind of control, for the same reason that I think Kristen is going to win, is the reason that I picked Chris.
There you go. I mean, I think distance control will be very important. It's, as we heard from McCabe and we've heard from players, it's about hitting landing zones. It's not just about blasting it as far as possible. So it's a different course than some other long courses.
Yeah.
And should make for interesting disc golf. All right, so those are our picks. They are in the books. Josh, you got an over-under for me?
I do have an over-under for you. So I went back and forth on this number a lot. Jason has emailed in before, messaged me, told me that he did his Grip 6 picks, and he went with all trilogy for his top 6 picks, which he recognizes probably is not going to win him a Grip 6 belt. But I think that makes for an interesting question for an over-under. And this number was really hard to pick. But over under the number of trilogy players who podium, MPO, FPO, together. So that's out of 6, right?
Okay.
The line I've got is 1.5.
Mm.
And it's tricky because after, like, Ricky and Kristen both are very realistic podium options.
They are.
You have them both, right? So
I do.
that's 2 for you. The problem is then after that, I'm left, like, Valerie's probably your next up, but I just don't feel confident in Valerie at this tournament.
She was 7 over last year. Way off the lead. Way off.
Way
but obviously
off the
she's
mark.
playing much better this season.
And that's true. So she's your next one, but I felt like the odds of her getting in are less of odds than Ricky finishing 4th.
Sure.
So that's why the line is 1.5.
I think it's reasonable. I'm going to take the over.
You're going to
Maybe
take
for
the
obvious
over.
reasons. I have.
Because your picks.
Yeah. And like, I guess
Doubling down.
I could hedge.
Right.
But I'm not going to hedge. I don't hedge.
It's why you're behind 5.
I think Kristen is like almost a podium lock the way she's been playing. I mean, she literally has been a podium lock this season. She has not missed a podium one time. So there's one. And then I just need Ricky to finish top 3. I mean, this is the argument against is it's like, ooh, too much pressure because he's playing at the DDO and like all this, like all the press that he's going to be doing this week and signing discs and whatever else. But you know what? He's a gamer. I feel like he's more likely to step up in that situation than to shrink from it. So I'm good. I got Ricky in there, and who knows? I mean, there's guys out there that Valerie could get there. I mean,
Matty
I would be pretty surprised if Mason Ford finished in the top 3, but like it's not impossible.
Yeah, Matty O could do it.
Gavin Rathbun, the West Side guys. You got the ladder. I mean, Emerson Keith has been playing well. I feel like I got enough other like wild cards in the mix that it even if it's only a 0.25 odds increase in terms of the number of players who could finish, I still like my odds on the over.
No, and I think that's fair. I mean, the real question, like you say, Kristen is as sure of lock as you're ever going to get, and then Ricky then becomes a question of, what can you put on odds of any one person podium? I think the stats for the odds, I don't remember who runs those stats. Was it Statmando? I don't remember. Put Paul Macbeth winning at like 33%. Right. So whatever those odds are that they run, there's not many that are players that are above a 50% mark. So you're kind of taking a 50-50 gamble right now. Does Ricky take podium or not?
Macbeth 3-1 or it'd be 2-1 odds. I mean, I couldn't take that, even though I think he's going to win.
Yeah.
If it was like a money future in Vegas, I would not buy that. It's just too.
I mean, I know that's what the odds say.
It's what the algorithm says.
Right. It's what the algorithm gives you. But I mean, those are not Vegas odds. Like, that's. Ugh.
All right. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna go inside the circle. We've got some good stuff for you inside the circle and a quick mulligan as well. You're listening to The Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. And I've been talking about it. The new smaller bag from Pound, the Rufus, is almost here. You can check out videos of the prototype version 1 and 2 on Pound Disc Golf's new YouTube channel. Just search Pound Disc Golf on YouTube or go to youtube.com/Pound Disc Golf, and you can check out the videos as well as an introduction to their new fly pack, which is available now. I can't wait to get my hands on a Rufus. Already they've built so many cool new things into just the version 2 of the prototype, so go check out the video and find out more. Welcome back to The Upshot. It's time to go inside the circle. Josh, take it away.
So first up, we are giving a spoiler warning. If you want to watch the OTB Skins match from Eagles Crossing, which is going to come out after the Dynamic Discs Open coverage, don't listen.
Stop here. Skip ahead. We don't want a spoiler for you if you're trying to avoid it. We don't do this very often, but you cannot watch this yet, so we're going to wait. And again, the Eagles Crossing Skins match, it was Calvin Heimberg, Simon Lizotte, Brody Smith, and Scott Stokely. Yeah. We talked about it a little bit on Tuesday. We are now going to discuss the winner. Spoiler alert.
You've been warned. Charlie, Scott Stokely takes home the win in the Eagles Crossing Skins match, leaving with $15,500. I'm curious, like that. He's won about $500 thus far on tour this year, and so just the comparison of the two numbers is crazy to me. I easily win the over-under at 1.5 skins.
Oh my
not
God.
going to Calvin.
What was I thinking?
But I will say the over was inevitable regardless of what number you picked. Because Scott Stokely took a huge pot of skins. He talks about the shot that he threw. It's a 375-foot forehand through a tight gap, which he calls the best shot of his career. We're going to listen to Scott Stokely talk a little bit about it real quick. Here he is.
Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and we just finished, a couple hours ago, the Big Money Skins match, and I want to give a recap of how today went. So we're out at Eagles Crossing. The course is beautiful. We had a huge gallery. We played the first 5 holes. Is that right? The first 4 holes. And Simon won a hole, and Calvin had won 3 of the holes. We tied a hole, and then on the 6th hole, I managed to sneak in, and I won 2 of the skins. And I said that all the money I won, all the skins that I won, was going to go directly to Hope for Autism, and won $1,300. And most importantly, I didn't get skunked, right? That was the big thing. I just didn't want to get skunked. So it was cool. An anonymous donor is matching the donation, so Hope for Autism is actually going to get $2,600. So Simon won the next hole. Then the pushes started. And we pushed. And we pushed. And the pot built. And it got larger. And every hole got a little more nerve-wracking. Whoever wins the most skins won $9,000. Which if I won the $9,000, I'm going to keep my $9,000 win, right? But any of the skins I win, like I said, I was going to give that away. So effectively, we get to hole 14, and we had like $13,000 on the hole. And Calvin and Brody threw out of bounds on their drives. I threw a really good drive out to the fairway, but I was pinched. I was like 375 feet behind the trees, and Simon also had a really tough approach shot from where he was. He was like, around the same distance, but we had really tough shots. I mean, this course is so hard. And I walked around and I looked at the shot, and I couldn't find a line, and I looked, and then finally I just saw this little line. It's like 5 feet wide, but it's 375 feet out. It was a sidearm line. There was a low hanging branch, and I looked at it, and I just looked over at Adrian, and I said, I see it. And I got all excited, and I stepped up and I grabbed I threw my force from Discraft, and I was 375 feet out, and I dropped down to a knee. So I had to throw it from my knee through a 5 foot wide gap, 375 feet to the hole. I threw my shot, and I pured the best shot of my career. $13,500. I put it 20 feet away. Wait till you see the video. GK Pro will have it out next week. It was the most amazing shot of my life. And I was 20 feet away, and my heart was beating so fast. I thought I was going to miss the putt. But I stepped up, and I feel good about my marvel, and I popped my marvel dead center chains. $13,500.
I mean, what an incredible shot to take home that skins match. I didn't expect it. I definitely expected a couple people to win skins, but such is the nature, right? As they push and continue to accumulate, all it takes is one really good hole, and that's all you need, right?
It's a sick win. Shout out to Scott Stokely. I mean, we were doubting him hard on this show on Tuesday. Major doubt. And the fact is, he just hasn't really played that well on tour.
No.
But you gotta love it. Like, you step up in the big spot, and you make the clutch shot, and that skins. It's not about necessarily finishing, being the most consistent player. It's about stepping up when it counts, and when there's a bunch of skins piled up, and you can go out there and find a way to make a crazy shot. I'm looking forward to watching the shot itself. It sounds like it was awesome. I mean, 375 forehand alone is impressive, especially like from a knee and then through a tiny gap. Wow. Congrats to Scott. And as he said in the video, donating all of the skins winnings to charity. He is going to keep the $9,000 for himself for winning the most skins. And you know what? Good for him.
I mean, look,
go have some Texas Roadhouse in the parking lot.
That's right. I mean, Scott made it sound like he was expecting to have a little bit more winnings this year than he's gotten so far. So, maybe he needs that for tour.
But hey, I mean, this alone is going to put his like winnings from like going to charity like above what a lot of players have earned on tour.
Absolutely. Yeah.
like doing well at this one tournament like makes it a meaningful impact. Mm-hmm. So it's very cool. Brody got skunked. Tough.
Does this mean you reignite the Brody Stokely debate, Charlie?
I think it's slightly reignited. Like clearly Brody's had the better Disc Golf Pro Tour season, but ooh.
Here's my question for you. Does Stokely's money from, so I guess over under 15.5 Brody's season winnings? I got to look at what he's made so far.
I think Brody's winnings will be under. It's hard to earn 20K plus. You have to finish up at the top pretty regularly. What's he at right now?
He's at 2,000 right now. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
He's averaging around $400 an event.
I just don't think there's enough events out there to get to 15.5 unless he finishes top 10 at some point. I think so too. I don't know that I see that happening. I think it could be close, but we're already we're about a third of the way through the season right now?
Yeah, approximately.
February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We're three months in.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's more tournaments to come. He could get there like that if he finishes top 5 at a tournament, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
Fair.
So
okay.
I'll take the Brody.
Okay,
under.
there it is. Bonus over under. We'll stick it in. Just watch. Brody's going to clutch this up for me.
Yeah, he might. Congratulations to Scott again for what's just an awesome win, and like I definitely did not expect it at all.
Yeah, I agreed. That's all to say about it. All to say about it. Next, inside the circle, Matt Bell on hole 16 of the Emporia Country Club. This is the island hole. Hits a $25,000 ace. This is thanks to Eric versus Cancer Charity for sponsoring the challenge. And, he's taking home big winnings. Charlie, I know you're writing an article about this ace. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Oh, this is so sick. I mean, he just stepped up and cashed in. Now, so the whole thing's a little weird because I'm like, why is there a $25,000 ace pot during practice round? That I've like still been kind of like confused about that, but that was the case. Eric is a charity that was started by Jim Garantzer, who for a time owned the Dallas Roughnecks, a professional ultimate frisbee team in Dallas. And Eric kind of started by teaching kids how to play ultimate frisbee, and they've expanded into disc golf this year in a major way. I mean, you see them all over the DGN broadcast lately. And now they've got this $25,000 ace pot. It was insured, in case you were wondering. So they had an insurance on it. Matt Bell told me that there were a couple other guys out there who they made some kind of agreement about how much, they were going to share the pot a little bit. But Matt's still going to get most of it. And here's the coolest part. He said that his girlfriend's uncle passed away from cancer last week, which obviously condolences to him and his girlfriend. So he said that he told her that he would give $5,000 to her aunt, so the wife of of the uncle who passed away to cover the funeral costs. So, quoting Matt, "That was incredibly special to have them be a part of that. Of course they cried when they found out I hit it. I've hit 3 other ace pots for over $1,000, but nothing even close to this big." So that's a special moment. So shout out to Eric for putting up this ace pot. Early recognition is critical. You can check them out online. And congrats to Matt for, I've never seen somebody hit an ace pot this big either.
Not that I'm aware of. I agree. I wish it had been in tournament, but you know what?
It's so weird to have it during the practice rounds.
And I'm not going to get into that. Congratulations to Matt Bell.
Congratulations.
And that does it for our Inside Circle today.
All right. Quick mulligan. Last week on Tuesday, we were talking about Chris Dickerson and talk about the last 5 years. I said that Chris Dickerson had the 2 majors and the 2 Pro Tour wins, or the Pro Tour Championship wins, but neglected to mention his GMC win from last season. That was a DGPT Elite Series win for him. The information that I was looking at hadn't been updated following Champions Cup, so I miscounted. So apologies to Chris, and that's my mulligan. So that is going to do it for this week's show. Don't forget to check out our over, under, and picks at discgolf.ultiworld.com/upshot-picks. And we will keep you up to date with everything that we've got going on in our points race this season. You can also vote for who you think has the best picks and make your own. A lot of fun. Don't hesitate to email us, upshot@ultiworld.com. We're finally going to get a little breather here coming up, so we'll have a chance to get in maybe to some more mail and do some shows that are not just focused on what happened and what's about to come on the Elite Series. So that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday right here on The Upshot. And don't miss our Sunday subscriber-only bonus segment live in our Discord where we talk about DDO. So we will look forward to seeing you there. You can become a subscriber at discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. Talk to you next week.